Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dion's Daily Dose for Sunday, January 24th, 2021. Wow. Okay, so here's what we have. Those of you who have been watching the show for quite a while may be familiar with Joe Haney. He is the new commissioner for county. He won the election quite handily, I might add, along with most of the other Republicans that ran. And since he's been on the council, we have seen, the commissioner, since he's been commissioner, we have seen some really interesting things happen. Let me show you what I mean. First, get you up to speed. I got the new video card in, I put it in, and oddly enough, I still got a freeze. I took it down, ran a couple of diagnostic software on it. I still have no idea. I've been keeping an eye on the temperature. I've been keeping an eye on the load. Everything looks good. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that it will be just fine for tonight and we won't have any issues. So we'll see. Hopefully we don't have any issues. All right, so let's get into this. Let me show you kind of where this all started. This is a letter. It's a Facebook post from Joe Haney. There you go. It is from the LaPorte County Health Department. And what it says is, the Board of Health, by unanimous vote during the trustees' quarterly meeting held January 19th, 2021, respectfully request Commissioner Joe Haney as their liaison to the commission. It is the board's sincere desire their selection be granted as requested. Now, that was January 21st. He posted that, and I was like, yeah, that's awesome. You know, I said, that's what happens when you're as awesome as Joe. Now, the meeting actually happened where this should have become a thing. And Earl Cunningham says, watch the meeting and see the hypocrisy of the other two commissioners. He doesn't get appointed. Matias, after 2 years as president, where she could have assigned herself to the board, suddenly has a coming to Jesus moment and overrides the board request. Of course, Mrazinski had to vote with her. 2 weeks in, and they insult our intelligence for the second time. Jody Slabaugh says Commissioner Sheila pulled out her woman card and trumped the county health board's recommendation and put herself as liaison, removing Joe. One of the most disgusting and unprofessional things I've seen in a while. The 23-minute mark. Let me go to this. I'm going to, as always, give you the link so that you may go and watch the entire video on your own. Bill, good to see you. Jack, hey. Okay, this is nuts. I've got it teed up to pretty close to where we want to be. I have not tried. Here, let me jump in here for you real quick. I'm using two screens here. Okay, I have not tried this audio setup I got external speakers because I had speakers on this monitor. They're not that great. We're going to try it. Let me know in the comments if there are any audio issues. I do have a secondary microphone that I can plug in real quick and set up if needed. But I'm hoping if I get this close to the speaker, I can just drag this right over here that you guys will be able to hear this. The audio is pretty important. So if it's an issue, if you cannot hear it, let me know. Here we go. Here is, again, the video in its entirety. I linked for you so you can take a look. But we're going to start right at where they want us to see, the 23-minute mark. We're at 22:20. So here we go.
Want to,
What you could do is move up the other motion that at this point to deal with it under request, the motion that you had said in terms of clarifying liaisonships. So perhaps this is the time to do that.
Okay.
So I would move that we consider the unanimous request by LaPorte County Health Department for a liaison position and honor their request that it be Commissioner Joe Haney. If you'd like, I could read this request. It says the Board of Health by unanimous vote during the trustees quarterly held January 19th, 2021, respectfully request Commissioner Joe Haney as their liaison to the commission. It's the board's sincere desire that their selection be granted as requested. Sincerely, Tony Mancuso, Administrator.
Commissioner, your thoughts?
Mr. President, we have a motion that was added to the agenda properly that says motion for reconsideration on certain board liaison positions. So my position, unless the attorney has another suggestion, is that we consider this as a motion when we talk about the other corrections, additions to the board liaison positions.
Well, we can discuss that now then, because we are past that. That's next to the
Order. There's a motion on the floor.
Okay, I'm gonna pause here. Let me tell you what's about to happen here. So Joe brings this motion, right, where he's like, hey, these people have unanimously requested that I be the liaison, right? Not only does it go off the rails because all of a sudden there's a Scrivener's error, you'll see what I mean, but then there's a whole thing with the RDC. It's just watch. Nuts. Absolutely nuts.
A prior motion on the floor.
I would suggest you deal with both motions. There's a first motion on there, voted up or down, and then you can proceed with your other motion if you would.
Okay.
Is there a second?
No, sir.
No. Then, since it dies for a lack of a second, we will move on to liaison appointments and consider with them.
So my motion was motion for a reconsideration on certain board liaison positions. There were some Scrivener's errors in the original list, which we voted on at our last meeting, and so I would like to make some corrections and additions. My corrections would include Commission President Rich Marzinski as the liaison to the Redevelopment Commission. That would be a correction. My addition would be Sheila Matias as a liaison to the Health Department and Community Corrections, and an adoption of the E911 board as presented by, I believe, Mr. Novak, Council President, passed that on to us. And then we also need, I think that would be all. The E911 board adoption of the board, Commissioner Brzezinski as liaison to the Redevelopment Commission, and Commissioner Matias, Health Department and Community Corrections.
Okay, stay with me. I know. Just stay with me for a minute because it's about to get wild.
So point of order, there was no Scrivener's error on that. That was properly passed as it stood. There was no Health Department liaison position prior, so that was not a Scrivener's error. It was lacking because it did not exist prior to this. And if you would like to get into the details that came before this, Commissioner Brzezinski, I'd be more than happy to get into that now. Or if you would like to stick with the appointments as they are and assign a health board liaison position as unanimously requested by the LaPorte County Health Department, I'd be more than happy to.
So, Mr. President, the motion for reconsideration on certain board liaison appointments in relation to Rich Marzinski has been on the Redevelopment Commission for several terms. He's done a great job, and I believe that was a Scrivener's error in removing him.
It was not, Commissioner Matias. I would caution you not to step in this landmine that you're about to open.
What are you talking about?
I would caution strongly against that.
Well, first of all, please don't interrupt me, sir. Please don't interrupt me. I was speaking, and I was speaking about the liaison to the Redevelopment Commission. Mm-hmm. Then I went on to say in my motion that my motion included Sheila Matias as the liaison to the Health Department and the Community Corrections, and I added E911 board as presented by Council President Novak. Were part of my motion.
That is all one motion?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Who is the scrivener? Who is the scrivener that acknowledges the mistake?
I'll claim the mistake for the RDC. I had been on the RDC when I was on the council and also as a commissioner. And as you know, we have a long list of liaison appointments, and normally new person takes the liaison appointments for whoever position they filled, which would have.
Now, bear in mind that Commissioner Haney took over for Dr. Cora. Dr. Cora is gone. Joe Haney is now in Cora's spot. For up to this point, it has been perfectly fine for anyone that comes along to take over the positions that the previous inhabitant of that seat held. In other words, everything at Cora is for to Haney. But all of a sudden, there's a problem. They'll explain why. Stay with me.
Would have been Joe filling for Dr. Cora.
Oh, come on. Don't start. Come on. It's not my internet because you guys can see and hear me just fine, right? It's not mine. I don't know what's going on. Come on. Don't do this. Let's back it up just a little bit, see if that helps. Sometimes it does.
Liaison appointments, and normally new person takes the liaison appointments for whoever position they filled, which would have been Joe filling for Dr. Cora.
Come on. You're killing me right now. You're killing. Come on. Work. All right. Anyway, so basically, watch it for yourself if you need to, but hopefully it'll catch up. They go on further into the meeting where Joe Haney said, first of all, Rich Brzezinski is fully behind this motion, right? Oh, yeah, he's going to be on the RDC now. And Matias is going to be the liaison for the health commissioner, right? When it gets to why, she says it's because she's a mother and a grandmother, and she used to be a school teacher. What? Oh, okay. Hold on. Let's see. Jack lets us know the J key backs up 10 seconds. K pauses. L jumps ahead. Okay. So let's try that. Let's go back to this. Click. Yeah. Yeah. It's not working. Okay. Anyway. We're at the 26:59, so start at the 27-minute mark, and you can see I linked it in here. Joe Haney goes on to say he was called by Rich Brzezinski to meet with a developer for the RDC to go to breakfast, right? And Joe says, isn't that a violation of the open door law? This is his words from the council. You can hear it, not mine. I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the laws. And all of a sudden, when he says, no, I don't want to meet with this guy because I don't feel right about that, all of a sudden calls Rich and says, we don't want him on the RDC. We'll take you. Then Shaw Friedman, the county attorney, allegedly, because this is what Joe says, didn't this happen, says that Shaw called Rich and said, we don't want Joe on the RDC. Why is that, I wonder? All of a sudden, when he wouldn't play ball with them, when he wouldn't dive head first into the icky swamp, all of a sudden they didn't want to work with him. Again, I'm going to try to get this working. I don't know why we're having this problem, but we're going to.
But he knew in the middle of all these projects.
There we go. Okay.
That they recommended that I stay.
There we go.
And after the conversation with them about that, I agreed with them to get back on the RDC where I was, rather than bring in somebody new in the middle of all these projects. That's why that is on our agenda for tonight. If you'd like to take these one at a time.
Sure.
So I had a motion.
And a motion for reconsideration is appropriate at the next subsequent meeting, and that's what's before the board at this point.
So Attorney Friedman, I have a question here about these NDAs. I believe Commissioner Mrzinski approached you about some questions about or did you approach him about questions about NDAs? I want to get some clarification on that.
Well, there previously were NDAs. That's not really material to the issue before you. You've got a motion of reconsideration.
Well, he just made that germane to this conversation by bringing it up.
Well,
So
I think he's tried to point out, Mr. Haney, he's been involved in economic development issues out there for the last 15 years. And I believe his intent was to serve as the representative to the redevelopment commission.
So, ladies, I want you to pay attention to the gentleman to the right of Shaw Friedman. Shaw Friedman, the gray-haired gentleman, silver, whatever, in the middle, right? To his right is Tim Stabos. Watch his face as Shaw Friedman is giving this explanation.
So that's
I understand that's his intent he's expressing here today. My question to you is, did you discuss any concerns via NDAs with Commissioner Mrzinski after the board meeting where I was appointed to the RDC?
No, what he's indicated to me is that it was his intent to go on the RDC. I've had prior concerns about NDAs and having elected officials sign them.
Sure.
What we have done and recommended, Mr. Haney, is that only the officials of the Office of Economic Development sign NDAs. Mm-hmm. So that's the practice that we have promoted.
Were there any concerns when Commissioner Cora replaced Commissioner Mrzinski 2 years ago?
Of what? Of NDAs? I have Mr. Haney, I've consistently recommended that elected officials not be required to sign NDAs. What we have asked is that those be confined staff members of the Office of Economic Development. What I think the point he's tried to make is that as part of the NDAs, he's been part of the negotiations with various prospective developers out there for a number of years. And so I think that's the point he's sought to make.
Did you have a conversation with him about NDAs and specifically me on the RDC around the time of the last meeting when I was appointed?
Not at that time. What I think he's made clear tonight is that the list that was presented had an error on it in that he was not listed as the representative.
So, and I want to get this clear because after the meeting, Commissioner Mrzinski came into my office and he approached me, and this may be some concern for your office as your name was invoked. And he said that I have to take you off the RDC. I asked why. He said there's some NDAs. I asked some of these questions we still had, and I said, well, I'm familiar with my line of work. I sign a lot of NDAs for a lot of the consulting that I do. And he said, well, Shaw wants you off. Those are the exact words he used to me.
No, I'll correct you on that. I also mentioned that I had talked to other members of the RDC who have also made it known to me that it had nothing to do with you. Taking you, it had nothing to do with you. It had to do with me. They wanted to make sure that I remain on that since I am in the middle of negotiations, several.
So I'm clear, you never said to Commissioner Mrzinski that you wanted me off the RDC?
No, I've said that it's been beneficial. I was surprised by the appointment, and it's surprised that it even occurred because Mr. Mrzinski's been involved with economic development issues at KIP for the last 13 years. You've been involved 13 days. So yes, there is a benefit to having Mr. Mrzinski continue on with economic development.
So, Mr. President,
I can see that in order, and I'd like to go further with that because last Friday I was invited to a Commissioner Mrzinski, where Joe Core and someone else was there, and I declined the invite because of obviously concerns about open door law violations, after which Commissioner Mrzinski told me, quote, Joe Core wanted me replaced on the RDC and for Mr. Mrzinski to be put on. The concerns I have here is that either Commissioner Mrzinski is not being forthright in the information he's relaying, or there's undue influence being placed upon Commissioner Mrzinski from either the names that he's been invoking. And again, I don't know because I was not privy to any conversations you two may have had.
You know what? Let's assume the very best. Let's not start out the year questioning the other's motives or sincerity.
I'm simply relaying the words that were espoused to me.
But you know what? You're relatively new to things in terms of economic development. You've gotten various liaisonships assigned by the commission. There's a motion pending in front of the board, and I would suggest procedurally you vote it up or down at this point.
So, Mr. President, I just have a few comments. I can't refrain. So most people know that Mr. Mrzinski and I have not always seen eye to eye on a lot of things over the last couple of years. But here's what I will tell you we see eye to eye on.
Yeah. Allegedly, they haven't seen eye to eye much, right? Now, all of a sudden, they see eye to eye perfectly now that a newcomer who is not deeply involved in the slime that is LaPorte County is a member of the LaPorte County Commission. Pay attention.
He's done a really good job on the redevelopment commission. And when I got my list of appointments, the documents that we had begun to agree on, I was surprised when I saw that he wasn't going to have the redevelopment commission. He's done a good job. KIP is close to his heart. I am going to continue asking for a motion for reconsideration on certain board liaison appointments, which would include, for whatever purpose, my purpose is because Mr. Brzezinski would like to be on that. He's the president of the commission, and he's done a good job in his...
Oh, come on. Here we go again. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it fixed. All right. We're at 3258. Let's skip it forward. Maybe.
Job in his, I believe, 8 years on the redevelopment commission. So I'm not a big person on coming in front of a meeting where the public is listening and accusing people of different things.
Yeah, she's not a big fan of having the public listen to the things that are said.
Just don't think that that's kosher. If we want to have a conversation about differences in opinion, that's great. But that really, it's not pertinent to my, pertaining to my motion. I asked for a motion for reconsideration on certain board liaison appointments. There were some things that were exceptions, like we always approve the E911 board at our organizational meeting. We always have community corrections on our list. Those were omitted. For whoever was to be blamed for that, I'm not a big blame game person. So my motion stands. Rich Brzezinski, requesting Rich Brzezinski to be placed on the redevelopment commission. Commissioner Matias as the liaison to the health department and community corrections, and the E911 board to be adopted with the list that Council President Novak gave us.
Chair will second your motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I think it's ridiculous to ignore the unanimous request by the LaPorte County Health Board on this issue.
So,
This
Mr.
is a
President, I would like
unanimous
to
request by the entire board.
Now, bear in mind, she yelled at him several times about interrupting her, right? She brought up, don't interrupt me. I'm speaking, right? Now he's trying to talk, and of course, the rules don't apply to her, which we might as well get used to. I know many of you who are familiar with her already know she believes the rules don't apply to her, but let me try to fix this again. Okay. Let's see, where are we at? 3408.
On this issue.
So, Mr. President, I would like
Unanimous
to
request
speak.
by the entire board.
Mr. President, I would like to speak to that. Historically, boards appoint the Board of Commission or the mayor in the position of the cities ask for people to serve on boards and commissions. It is certainly highly irregular that a board would be requested to send a letter requesting a certain member of the commission.
They do this of their own volition.
Excuse me, Mr. Haney, I'm speaking and I really don't appreciate you continuing to interrupt me.
Right. When she talks, everyone needs to be silent and listen. But when other people talk, she absolutely can interrupt them. I can't stand this woman.
So
By the way, I want to point out, for a period of time, I actually lived right next door to her when she was the mayor. And she is the rudest, most obnoxious person I have ever met. She's not a good person. Like I said, I lived right next door to her for a period of time and just absolutely oblivious to the real world.
Regarding public health, as a former public school teacher, a mother of 6, and a grandmother, public health has been close. Almost 30 years I've been involved in public life. Community health and quality of life is super important to me. We have issues that have not been attended to in our county. Infant mortality, excuse me, please don't roll your eyes. Prenatal health, nutrition and food insecurity, mental health for children and adolescents, environmental health and geriatric health. Those are issues that I have worked on in my career. Those are issues that I believe under the new direction at the department, there will be a new administrator and the board is highly engaged. I think that I would do a really good job on that board, and I appreciate the support of the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on. Under old business.
We'll stop there. If you want to watch the rest, by all means, go watch it. There's a lot more. But this is the essence of what I was talking about. It's absolutely mind-blowing that this is allowed to happen. And I'm going to tell you, I thought Rich Mrzinski was a Republican. I'm not so sure anymore. I'm really not. Because this is exactly the kind of backdoor, back-scratching crap that we're trying to get rid of. You can blatantly tell that these people got together and went, oh, you want to be the health liaison? I want to be RDC. Let's make that happen. They got a 2-to-1. It doesn't matter what Joe Haney wants. It doesn't matter what we the people want. It's time to replace these freaking people. It is absolutely time to put us back in charge of what's going on in our county. This is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It cannot be allowed to stand. I will tell you that me personally, I absolutely plan on getting real media involved in this because blatant for all to see, the RDC doesn't want you on the board. Well, why not? Because I won't play ball? Are you kidding me right now? It has been the policy for all of these incoming commissioners to take over the duties and liaisons for the outgoing board member. Now, all of a sudden, there's a big change. Give me a break with this crap. It is sickening, absolutely sickening. And I'm going to tell you, from me to you out there, let's make sure that we have Joe Haney's back on this because all other things aside, the man's working hard for us. He has been gone nonstop since the day the election happened. Since the day he found out he won that election, he has been working, putting out press releases, talking to people. He works harder than anybody I've ever seen in this position. It's mind-blowing that this is allowed to stand. Weigh in. Let me know what you think. If you think that all of this is proper and okay and I'm misinterpreting it, let me know. Absolutely. Maybe I don't know how it's supposed to work, right? And this is one of the reasons why, I've been told maybe politics isn't right for you because you don't know how to compromise. You mean compromise my integrity? No, I don't know how to compromise my integrity because this is the kind of crap that we the people are sick of. I don't know about you. I am for sure. That's where I'm going to leave it tonight, ladies and gentlemen. Go watch the whole video if you have time. It's absolutely astounding how bad it is. And let's go back to, let me get back to the post itself. Remember that Joe did not approach these people, the health department. He didn't go to them and say, hey, I want to be your liaison. The reason they picked Joe Haney is because he has a background in healthcare. As Jody says, Commissioner Sheila pulled out her woman card and trumped the county health board's recommendation and put herself as liaison, removing Joe. One of the most disgusting and unprofessional things I've seen in a while because she's that kind of person. Like I said, I've lived next door to her. I never went inside her house or ate with her or anything. But I tell you what we did deal with was her calling the cops constantly because the people next door where I was living didn't fit her model of the kind of people she liked. She was mayor at the time. I've got all kinds of stories, but we don't need to go there. It was a long time ago. Suffice it to say that I don't think she's changed that much. Earl, he nails it. The hypocrisy of the other two. He doesn't get appointed. And Matias, after 2 years as president, where she could have assigned herself, suddenly has a coming to Jesus moment and overrides the board request. Of course, Mrzinski had to vote with her. I don't know if you were paying attention to Tim Stabos's facial expressions and whatnot, but it was priceless. It really shows the kind of audacity that these people have. And don't even get me started on Shaw Friedman. I am absolutely mystified that this guy is still the county attorney. Let's just leave it at that. We're going to get more into that. I have so much to share with you on this. This is going to be an ongoing series because in order to fix this country, we have to start locally. Yeah, there's some crazy stuff going on the national level, but we have to start at home. We have to fix Michigan City, LaPorte County. We have to fix that first and move up, right? State of Indiana, federal government. I have no idea what's going to come of this, but something needs to. Something needs to. Even if it's no more than a serious run from someone against the people that are currently sitting on this board, the commission, excuse me. We need to have something happen, ladies and gentlemen. Mind-boggling. And I cannot believe that he was just shut down so quickly and so easily, especially by someone who purports to be a Republican. I don't know. Look, I don't know these people personally. I've talked to Rich a few times. I've talked to Joe quite a bit more. I will tell you, I voted for Joe Haney because I truly believe that Joe Haney is doing what he believes to be the best thing for the county, and that has not changed. I will support him anytime he needs it, and this is one of the times that he needs it. For those of you out there who may have a real media contact, I highly recommend that you pass this along to them, because a real reporter could rip this to shreds in a moment. That's all I got for you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go play video games with my son, Donovan, because he's been begging me. If you have anything else for me, by all means, remember, at Dion for Indiana, or preferably at Dion's Daily Dose here on Facebook. And we're gonna edit the YouTube channel to reflect that. I think we're going to focus on that. Dion's Daily Dose. Because let's face it, it's not exactly daily anymore. There's no reason for it to be. But I will tell you, I'm going to keep bringing you stuff like this, especially because somebody needs to. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you again soon. Keep the faith. I know I am. It's tough, but keep the faith. God bless you. God bless Indiana, and God bless the United States of America, because we need it.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers Sean Holgram and Michael Beatty. Copyright 2021. Dion's Daily Dose, all rights reserved.